just do it.
All right, sounds good. Well, welcome everybody, and thank you so much for joining us for this really exciting session today. I know that we've been chatting with Karla for quite some time about how to be able to offer really affordable and beautiful locations and destinations to people who are looking to either have a plan B or relocate or just simply looking to get out of the rat race. And when we were chatting with Karla initially, one of the countries that really stuck out to her and hopefully sticks out to you, I'm guessing that's why you're on the session here, is Belize. So we're going to talk about Belize a little bit more specifically in the presentation, but why don't we have you, Karla, give your group here an introduction of us. We'll introduce Mike over here. He's our special guest, and then we can jump right into Belize.
Sure. Hello, everybody. I'm Karla Parker. I'm a realtor with Coldwell Banker in the San Francisco Bay Area in Berkeley. And I met Mike and ECI Development about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, and just was floored by their presentation, their dedication to quality, their knowledge of the building process globally, and wanted to bring that to as many people as I can. So welcome, and I'll hand it over to you, Mike.
Well, thank you, Karla. I wasn't sure whether you said you were floored or bored by my presentation. But anyway, so and now it was delightful. I think I met you at the Samcar across the bay, didn't I?
Yeah. Yes. And on the peninsula.
One of the things that we've enjoyed doing over our 25 years of being in business is working with realtors and real estate professionals who can then help their clients learn about great opportunities, first of all, but far more important, learn about how to do proper due diligence when they buy property overseas. Because at the end of the day, when we go overseas, we're going someplace foreign, right? We're going outside our home country. And so, things are different, and we need to understand how they're different so that we can ask better questions, we can do better due diligence. As I like to say, the blue skies and the palm trees take care of themselves. But when we're buying property, we want to make sure we do it right. It's a big investment. And so I really thank you, Karla, for getting some folks on the phone, because they, at this point, they probably don't know how fortunate they are to have heard from you, to be on this programming, to be able to get the kinds of due diligence resources that are available, the consumer resource guide being one. And I know Rachel and Allie are going to talk about that. But Karla, thank you for getting excited and for getting a bunch of folks on with us today. So I guess without further ado, Rachel is our Vice President of Sales and Marketing for ECI. And Rachel, I think we're talking mostly about Belize, but I know you're going to talk about some of the other elements as well today.
Right, it's true. And Belize is definitely a hot spot right now. I was just telling Karla, we just had another webinar on this. We had about 350 people who registered for it. And that's typically about average whenever we're talking about Belize, anywhere from 350 to 400. People want to hear more about it. People want to simplify their life. People are looking to live well on a beach. And I know you mentioned you're in the San Francisco Bay Area, which I understand real estate prices are outrageous there. So when you hear about Belize and some of the opportunities where you can get a beachfront condo with a Marriott brand for under $400,000, it's like, oh, well, that's really quite affordable at the end of the day. And so we have a lot of those sort of opportunities. We're not necessarily going to get into the super specific. There's one program or one opportunity specifically we're going to talk about, and we'll get that towards the end of the presentation. But I would also like to introduce to you Allie Rodriguez. So Allie is our international realtor coordinator, and she works with Karla, for example, to find opportunities to be able to present to you and to make it really, an easy way, an easy solution to hear more about it. So Allie, why don't you just give us a little bit more about yourself? Because I know you're here in Belize as well, and how you got started in Belize.
Well, thanks again, Karla. Thanks for pulling this together. I know you and I have worked closely over the last couple of months to get this presentation out to your audience and really be able to bring these opportunities to the folks that are here on the line today. So thank you for working with me on that. Rachel's going to go through some great information. We're going to just talk back and forth about Belize in general, and give you some opportunities at the end about real estate specifically. But I came to Belize about 3 years ago, and it's been a little over 3 years now. I lived in San Antonio, Texas, and was actually a teacher back in the States. And my husband owned a landscape architecture firm, and our neighbor happened to be originally born in Belize and had moved to the States for work, and ended up getting married and staying. And so we had a conversation one night about Belize and how he wanted to retire in Belize when the time was right. And it kind of clicked in our heads that why are we waiting for retirement to go on this adventure of checking out a new country and really immersing ourselves into a culture and a community that's so welcoming and warm. So we came for a visit and absolutely fell in love with the people and the food and the scenery. Obviously, it's beautiful, and haven't looked back in 3 years. So
Awesome.
You're awesome to be on this call today and explore for yourself a little bit more about Belize.
Awesome. And so I'm from the other coast, Karla. I'm from the East Coast, originally grew up in New York, and then made my way down to Latin America in 2012. I was living in Nicaragua at that time, going back and forth between Belize and Nicaragua. And something pulled me here and has kept me here since. And like Ali said, the people are really friendly. The food is delicious. And it's just a really pretty environment. We live on the Caribbean here, and we're on an island. We're specifically on Ambergris Key, which is off the coast of Belize mainland. It's one of the more popular locations within the country because we parallel the reef. It's actually the largest living reef in the world, second largest in size, but longest living. So we have a lot of divers and fishermen and snorkelers who come out here. But our usual walk to the restaurants or into town is right there on the Caribbean. So it's definitely, we're getting spoiled. I think it'd be very hard at this point to get back to the States. But I think for those of you who are listening, you heard Karla and us talking about it before we even got started, is we understand it's just a crazy time right now politically, everything going on with COVID. And so it doesn't matter what you believe or where you stand on any of those things, but we understand that there's just a general sentiment of uncertainty. And so whether you're personally looking to relocate, or perhaps you are looking to be a snowbird, maybe you want to get out of the San Francisco winters, or you're just looking for a change of scenery, maybe just for an investment, you're looking to diversify and go into another country. We found that Belize has really been a top place for many people to do that. So you heard from our CEO, Mike Cobb. Mike is the CEO and co-founder of ECI Development, and we develop real estate throughout Latin America. So we create affordable luxury communities for folks like you who are looking to relocate or invest or be a snowbird. And Belize is definitely one of our most popular locations, but we also have a lot of interest in Costa Rica, Panama. In addition to that, maybe not as well known or even heard about as Nicaragua. I think that country is a diamond in the rough, though. So never put it to the side for those savvy investors who are looking for opportunities. I would highly recommend Nicaragua. As you heard, I lived there. Our CEO lived there for 14 years. But we're going to talk about Belize in this presentation. And then also for those people who are looking for residency. I don't know if you're considering a residency in another country. We really look at that as an insurance plan or a plan B. Maybe you don't want to relocate anytime soon, or maybe you're just looking to have that green card or access to another country whenever you want. Then we also have residency programs through agricultural investments. So we've been in business for over 25 years at this point. Longevity is key in the marketplace. Probably true in North America too, down here, certainly much so. Mike mentioned the Global Property Resource Kit, which we'll mention again at the end of the presentation for you to request, which is a great white paper to learn more about the questions you should ask. So I'm not going to bore you too much with this, but as mentioned, we've been in the region for quite some time. As you saw on this slide here, we're in Belize, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Panama, and we are looking at future acquisitions in Argentina, Chile, and also Ecuador. And why we're acquiring these properties and why we have various countries throughout the region is we understand not everybody is looking for the same thing. So while you may be on the line because you like the Caribbean Belize, there may be someone else on the line too that is looking more for a vineyard sort of setting, or tropical highlands where it's cooler temperatures and climates. So we understand that, and we want to be able to offer something to everybody. And so maybe at the end of this, you say, Belize is not my cup of tea. Let us know. We'd be happy to share additional information with you about the countries. So over the next little bit here, we're going to cover four different sessions. The first one's going to be why Belize, why are people investing and vacationing and moving here? We're going to go into digging into Belize real estate misconceptions. I'm just curious, and find the Q&A section of your control panel, because I'm just curious here. Does anybody own international real estate? So real estate outside of your home country? Yes or no? You can find that Q&A section. Yes or no. If yes, if you own real estate in another country, or no, if you don't own real estate in another country. And it's okay if you don't, and it's great. It's okay if you do. I'm just curious as to what the audience Okay, so I'm seeing no, not yet.
Yeah, and Yolanda, we see your question about the recording. Yes, this will be recorded and we'll get it sent out to you once
Afterwards.
it's done processing.
Perfect. I see Ona does. Ona, just curious as to where yours is. Feel free to type it in if you feel comfortable doing so. Alexis is no, not yet. Awesome. I love the not yet part. That's awesome. I love that you're thinking about it. Kelly says no. All right. So it looks like a majority of you are just starting to learn about the process. And I'm guessing that many of you have had experience of owning real estate in the States. It's a little different than that. I kind of went backwards. I started investing in real estate in Latin America first, and then went to the States. And I was like, wow, it's really quite interesting how much more of a process there is in the States. And I can't believe I get title in 30 days, where in some of these countries it takes longer. But when you go into investments and investing into these countries, those are the sort of quirks that you want to know. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just different. So someone here just said, my family is from Belize and multiple properties in Kikaker, San Pedro. Awesome. I'm happy to hear that. We're currently located in San Pedro right now. It's where Allie and I call home.
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna also explore the hot spots in Belize, and then we'll have time for your questions. So just looking at the map here, I'm not sure if you're all familiar with where Belize is located, but we border Guatemala and Mexico. The country is about the size of Massachusetts when it comes to size. Population-wise, we're a little bit less than 400,000 at this point. And our currency that we use is the Belize dollar. It's pegged to the US dollar, 2 Belize dollars to 1 US dollar. So whenever you go into a store here, just cut whatever price is listed in half, and that's what it comes out to in the States.
There tends to be a little bit of a sticker shock when you do come shopping down here. $20 for a case of water or something, but yeah, you just cut it in half and it makes a lot more sense.
It does. It helps a lot. All right, so we're here seeing why Belize. So the first reason why a lot of people are coming down to Belize is just simply because of the proximity to North America. A lot of people have been going to Costa Rica and Mexico for a while and overlooking Belize just simply because they didn't even know the country was there. As you saw, it's small. It's about the size of Massachusetts. So it's easy to overlook the country. But over the years, I'd say over the past 10, 12 years, as Belize has started to gain more international attention, we have seen more direct flights coming into the country. There are also increased airlines that are starting new routes into the country. COVID, bear in mind that COVID kind of was a disruption to all of this. I think it was worldwide. So when we're referencing things that maybe pre-COVID, but now we're at the point the border reopened in October and a lot of these flights have started to resume. So
absolutely. And one of those, one of the big reasons that we ended up making the decision to stay here in Belize was its proximity to Texas specifically, but it really is, a 2.5 hour flight from, Houston to San Pedro by the time we get here. So, if there's ever emergencies that come up or things like that you need to get back for quickly, it's really easy to do that.
And I'm curious if you're all from the Bay Area as well. Feel free to type that into the Q&A section as well. And the reason I say that is because there is a flight from LA. There's nothing from San Francisco at this point, but if you're able to hop down to LA and then from there come to Belize City, that is an option for you as well. So just something to bear in mind. Yeah, feel free to type there into the Q&A section. We'd love to hear from you. So there are a lot of flights coming in. As the demand for more flights come, then more people and more flights are coming in, more direct flights, more airlines, and we're just seeing that continue to grow. So I see Cherry's from the Bay Area, Ona's in the Bay Area. Okay, I'm gonna guess that many of you are from the Bay Area. And then once you get into the country, then there's the regional airlines. Oh, we have Yolanda from Ohio, and then we have Kenya in the Bay Area. All right, good. So it's pretty much there on the West Coast. But once you get into the country, it's really quite easy to move around. There are regional air carriers, there are air taxis, and you're able to take Tropic or Maya. And then if you're wanting to adventure around a little bit more, you can always rent a car or take a water taxi if you're going out to the Keys. It's safe to rent a car. The one concern may be if there are potholes or anything along those lines, but just get a 4x4 and you'll be set. Or if you're on the island, you take a golf cart, which is our primary mode of transportation here on the island. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about reason number 2, Allie?
Yeah, so number 2, this is another huge consideration when people are looking at, either a lifestyle change overseas or even an investment overseas, is how common, how familiar can I be with the documents that I'm reading? How am I going to be able to communicate with the people I need to communicate with? And so one of the most, I guess, important things for me was being able to understand contracts that I'm signing, any kind of documentation. It is common law, British common law here. The primary language is English, so it's very easy and comfortable to communicate and go through these transactions for things that are really, really important. You can speak to somebody and understand the language that's in the documents because it's in English. So that's something definitely to take in consideration when you're looking into international real estate ownership.
It's true. And even just the simple concept of coming into an international airport, landing in Belize City, getting the customs and immigration form and knowing what it's saying. That's important.
And simple, you know, if you are comfortable with other languages, that's great too. But if that's something that you're not okay with and you're not as comfortable with, you know, just things like going to the grocery store and talking to the guys on the corners at the fruit stands. I mean, you have to be able to communicate and get around. So very, very easy to do coming from the States.
It's true. And because Belize is a former British colony, they use common law here, which is, I think, very comfortable to all of you on the line, unless we have someone who's snuck in there from Louisiana, which they use civil law. But you'll find that common law is here. And so it's familiar. It's comfortable for a lot of us. In addition to that, what we found is a lot of people are choosing Belize because of the financial and the banking security. And this is important to note, especially if you're coming in from a real estate investor side, is there's no capital gains and there's no estate tax in the country. So let's say you decide to own real estate now, and then you buy it for $120,000, you sell it for $200,000. When you sell it and you have that $80,000 profit, there's no capital gains here in the country. That's huge. In addition, if you're looking at it from the investment perspective, you want to rent out your spot, there's only a 1.75% income tax on your investment profit. And then also banks, this is huge. Banks require 24% liquidity. And the bank that I would highly recommend, and of course do your own due diligence, is Key Financial Center. And Key is required to have 24% liquidity. It's one of the highest in the world. And what that means, for every dollar that goes into the bank, there must be at least a quarter of it liquid. And that's tremendous. I think that anybody who's looking at a bank really should be asking what the liquidity rates are before they decide to put money into that bank. And so if you're looking at planting your flag somewhere, let's say you're not necessarily ready to get started and move or buy real estate, one of the best things that you can do at least is open up a bank account in another country. This is a great way to diversify, to spread your assets, to make sure you don't have all your eggs in one basket, as they say. And in the country, there are a lot of benefits, but feel free to reach out to us, banking@ecidevelopment.com, if you'd like to hear more about Key Bank and the services that they offer. You want to tell us a little bit about Residency?
So we do have some residency options here. And just a quick note, residency is different from citizenship. And we can talk about that more specifically if we need to. But residency allows you to be in the country longer than what, say, a tourist would. It affords you some certain rights as a resident that you wouldn't have as a tourist. Right. So there are some options here in Belize. One of them is the QRP program, the Qualified Retired Persons Program. You have to be 45 years or older, spend 30 days at least in the country. You can bring in items duty-free. I'm not sure what the limitations are on that. I believe it's one cargo container. Yep. But you cannot work. So as a retired person's coming in under that QRP program, you cannot work. So you cannot be generating any kind of income.
It's true. Yeah. So like, you know, if you're thinking, sometimes you get retirees down here that are twiddling their thumbs by day 5 and they're like, all right, well, we're going to start a business. We're going to have this company. If you're here in QRP, you cannot do that. So really important for you to understand yourself and what it is you want to be doing if you're relocating. And QRP may be great for you. It may not. It just depends on what your ultimate objectives are.
Sure. And the next program, the permanent residency, this is a general residency option. This is one that I've personally gone through in my time being here in Belize. You can be any age. You must live in the country for at least 1 year. So in the beginning, this was kind of a hard pill to swallow because, you know, you want to go back to the States and you want to, you know, visit family and things like that. But it really wasn't that
Right.
hard.
It's 1 year
I
of
mean,
life,
it was
yeah.
1 year. We that year I did go back for my dad got married, and we went back for his wedding and spent 10 days in the States and came right back. And then we've had people down here visiting us. So it really goes by fairly quickly. The process is fairly simple. It's just mostly documentation. I mean, you get things prepared. They'll send you a list of what you need. You'll provide those documents to, immigration, and they'll take you through the process. And then you can be a permanent resident. So you can work in country with that. That's okay. You can work in country with that permanent residency. And then after 5 years of your time here in the country, you can apply for citizenship, which would mean becoming a passport holder of Belize.
Exactly. And then there's one more residency program, which is quite new. It's the investor residency. For this one, you have to invest at least $250,000 in a certified investment project. This has been a popular option for folks that we've been chatting with because you don't need to live here in the country. In fact, what you're investing in is an investment project, so it's not a personal home necessarily. But once you have it, it's a temporary residency for 5 years. Every year you renew it, and then after the 5th year, it becomes permanent. You're able to apply for citizenship after that 5th year. So this is a great option if you're looking for a rental property, an investment property. Pair it up, get that residency, and then you're able to come and go from Belize as you choose. All right, so the number five reason why people are coming to Belize is because there's a growing economy. As we talked about before, COVID's kind of put a damper on everything around the world. But from 2009 to 2019, we've just seen a tremendous growth in tourism over the years. A lot of this was due to Belize working with a international marketing company to brand themselves and just make themselves aware. I know we have our one Belizean here on the line, but for the rest of you, I don't know if you heard about Belize in 2008. And so now we're seeing that more people are coming. Traditionally, it was really the adventure travelers, the people who would come and spend money in the water, stay in a little thatched roof hotel that might leak if it rains, but they were really here for the water, right? They wanted to go fishing. They wanted to catch bonefish. They wanted to see the nurse sharks. And so we just see now, though, as Belize has become more well-known and more mainstream, tourism is increasing. And of course, as more people are aware of it, then we're seeing real estate prices are increasing with that. But there's just been a tremendous growth. And so I expect, with everything going on, I do expect it'll probably take another year or two for tourism to resume, but we are feeling quite confident that it will resume. We are seeing people coming back to the island already, coming back to the country when the border reopened in October. And I know a lot of people are getting stir crazy at this point. So we've also seen a lot of long-term renters come down, those digital nomads, where I don't know about you guys on the line, but if you're able to open up your computer, work from anywhere in the world, maybe you should come down to Belize for a few months, especially if you're in Ohio, for example, and it's snowing and rainy and whatever's going out there. It's a little chilly. I lived in Pennsylvania for a little bit of time, and I know it gets a little chilly up there this time of year. But you do have, if you have that sort of flexibility, that's what we're seeing is going on right now. And so you're able to come down for a few months at a time, maybe go check out Panama afterwards or wherever it is that's of interest. All right, Mother Nature's splendor. You want to tell us about a few more spots?
It's absolutely beautiful. Belize is a beautiful country, not just on the island here and looking out at the azure waters and of the Caribbean, but on the mainland as well. There's jungles, there's waterfalls, there's caves, there's just beautiful flora and fauna. It's absolutely gorgeous, pretty much wherever you go within the country. There's a lot of different places on the mainland that you can travel to, like Rachel mentioned earlier, renting a car. The regional airports do fly to the various spots, I guess, within Belize, and there are plenty of tour guides and help to get you to be able to see and really experience all of the great things that nature has to offer here in Belize. It's hard to get bored, I do live here on an island. It is a lot of sand and palm trees, which I'm not complaining, but sometimes you want to go somewhere where it's a little greener and the climate's a little bit different, and maybe the air isn't so tropical feeling.
Go to the jungle. It sounds like you need a jungle trip, Allie.
You go to the jungle and you go visit the waterfalls, and it's just it's a total change of scenery in just a few hours, and it's a great opportunity to be able to see all these different geographies, I guess, if you will, within one country.
It's true. And so, for those of you who are on the line, like I said, I don't know if you're looking to relocate or invest, and feel free to type that into the Q&A as well, so that we can kind of gear this conversation towards you to be a little bit more personalized. But, if you're looking to relocate, we do have the people who go to Corozal because it's close to Mexico. We don't have the chains here. We don't have Target and Walmart and the super centers. And so for some people, that's really important. They need to be able to go to Target on a regular basis, or I don't think they have Target in Mexico, but you know what I mean?
Walmart,
they have Walmart.
and Home Depot.
There you go.
And Burger King.
And Burger King, that's right. And so you can live up in Corozal if you want, or it's easy enough to just cross into the border. But like Ali said, a lot of different geographies and really neat places.
And so, yeah, I did mention a few of these, but there's so much to do. And in that year that I was going through the residency process, you don't get bored. You have the ability to take a day and go to the mainland and go cave tubing, which you heard from Mike earlier. That's one of his favorite things to do here in Belize. Me personally, I am a water baby. I love the reef. I love snorkeling. I just recently started my diving certification, and that was because of being here in Belize and really realizing how much of activity is on the reef. And when I say National Geographic, I mean National Geographic. The fish are vibrant, and the eels, and you see sea turtles and the nurse sharks, and you swim with them, and it's just, there's so much to do. There is a zoo on the mainland, the Jaguar Reserve, which I believe is the only one in the world. And of course, Rachel mentioned earlier, fishing. Fishing is a huge thing here. People come down here just for fishing trips, and we have some really amazing tour guides and fishermen that can definitely take you to the best spots.
It's exactly right. And then diving, like Ali said, if you like diving, Ambergris, and this is really the area. Ambergris Key is the key off of the coast of the mainland. It's the biggest key, and it's where we tend to find most of the tourism is driven to. And the reason why Belize really became as popular as it has become is because of the diving. And so Ambergris Key has been a popular spot within the travel spots in Belize because we parallel the reef here. It's the largest living reef, as I mentioned. So even if you're not necessarily a water bug, there's a tremendous amount to do on land, a lot of activities that are going on. If you do like water activities, fishing, I know a lot of people like spear fishing or fly fishing. That's super popular here. Diving, snorkeling, kayaking. And then also the land activities. We do have a lot of festivals. Some of those are on hold right now, but of course, come back in 2022 and you'll see the ability and have the ability to experience all of these. And I know there are a lot of people when they're going to a new location, whether it's to relocate or even for tourism, they like to get involved in the community. And so if you're one of those people who want to participate in community outreach, volunteer, give back, we can certainly help you to find opportunities to do so. And trust us, you'll have an unbelievable time.
You better believe it.
There are a lot of fun things that you can say with Belize.
Yeah.
And then number 7, and this is really a big reason why people are coming, is because of the affordable real estate and the low property taxes. And, when you're looking, I'm going to start here. When you're looking for real estate and you're looking for investment real estate specifically, you're probably wanting cash flow and or appreciation. If you're looking for property that's going to cash flow, what that means is it's in a location that's popular. You want to buy something, you want to start cash flowing tomorrow. So you're looking in an area where it's desirable, people are going. And in those areas, you tend to find that real estate is more expensive because there's a demand for it. So if you're looking in places like Pacific Costa Rica, Guanacaste, been in the tourism market for 25, 30 years, it's going to be more expensive. Prices have really plateaued there because of the popularity within the marketplace. Now you can even thin slice Panama a little bit more. Areas like Panama City, Coronado, those are pretty high there at the top of the curve. You'll get the cash flow because they're well known, but you also have to realize they're going to be more expensive. Now, at the bottom part of the curve, you're going to see countries that aren't as popular as places at the top. So Nicaragua, for example, I mentioned that before, diamond in the rough. This is where if you can land bank for a few years, you can hold onto your land over the next 5, 10, 15 years, you're going to most likely see significant levels of appreciation. And so we do see that. We see those investors who are forward thinking, who are looking to hold on to something now. They see the value. Like Nicaragua is like the next Costa Rica. And I know I keep plugging Nicaragua, but it's a great place.
Sauce.
But it is a soft spot. I spent a lot of time there. But you have those high levels of appreciation. And Belize really is at that sweet spot of the curve right now where you are seeing still opportunities for appreciation because it's only really been in the tourism market publicly over the past 10 years. But you also have the demand there. You have the people who are coming and you're continuing to see that increased tourism. So when we did a quick comparison of an area like Bahamas, so the Reef, this is at Atlantis Hotel. You probably have heard about it in the Bahamas. It's a Marriott hotel at this point, but there's a 1-bedroom resale going for close to $600. Now, or sorry, 600, that'd be a bargain, $600,000, 523 square feet, 1 bedroom, about $600,000. And, you know, when you look at real estate here on the island, this is of a Marriott property as well, going for less than $400,000. Beachfront Caribbean beach, you know, the beautiful blue waters right out there. And, you know, it's not necessarily fair to compare Bahamas to Belize, where Bahamas has more of a developed infrastructure, has been around for a while. Belize is still in that point, but that's why there's this opportunity for appreciation. That's why you're able to save the $200,000 now, because you're really getting in before it skyrockets, before it plateaus. So we're going to dig now into the Belize real estate misconceptions. Personally, this is one of my favorite parts because I know I had a lot of learning to do when I was buying real estate in the States, since I did that second. You know, I was in Panama and Belize and then the States. And so when I had the experience where in Panama, they're like, all right, it'll be about 4 years before you get your title. You know, I'm like, all right, well, at least I'm aware. And then I get to the States and I'm like, all right, well, you'll have your title in the next 30 days. I'm like, whoa. But you just have to understand what some of the misconceptions are and then also understand the reality. I think that's really, really important for you, regardless of what market you're going into, especially when you're going into foreign countries. All right, you want to start us off here, Allie?
Absolutely. So real estate agents. So you can walk around here and meet real estate agents here in Belize, but something that you should be aware of is that real estate agents do not need to be licensed. And this varies from country to country, but here in Belize, that is not a requirement, and there is no MLS. So pretty much everybody you meet, or it seems like everybody you meet, does something with real estate or is selling real estate. So just be aware of that and just do your due diligence on who you're talking to about these real estate opportunities in country.
That's exactly right. And, you know, something, so I sit on the board of the Belize National Association of Realtors, and something that we've talked about doing is getting and ensuring that real estate agents are licensed, because unfortunately, you know, if you don't know the developer, you don't know who you're working with, you may be buying a property that 10 other people bought before you. And so it is really important, as I mentioned, to do that due diligence. We have that global property resource kit we mentioned, where we give you the 15 must-ask questions when looking at real estate overseas. Ask those 15 questions when you're buying real estate overseas, because they will certainly help you in the long run. So the second one here is escrow is not common and may not be available. It is available in Belize to some extent. Typically, you'll pay quite a bit for it, but it's not typical. It's not traditional here. There are a couple of attorneys that will work with you from an escrow perspective, but typically, you know, 99.9% of the transactions don't have escrow. So what I would recommend is just think about it. If you're buying a pre-construction property, don't put 100% of the funds down. Usually, you know, developers who are doing it right will offer staged payment plans based on the construction progress. So, you know, when the roof is on, that's when you'll pay the next payment. When the walls are up, that's when you pay the next payment. And that's what you, I believe, would want to see as well when you're buying something overseas. That's pre-construction, is paying just based on how the construction is progressing.
Absolutely.
You want to share this one with us?
Sure. So it says, are you used to titling in 30 to 90 days? Pack your patience. It may take a couple of years. So that is a reality. It's just a different process here. It really is. And you can apply for your title, and it's going to take a little bit of time for it to get back to you. It may take a phone call. It may take a few phone calls, a couple of visits, but eventually it will happen. But I don't want to say island time is a thing. It's a thing. And each country that you go to is just a little bit different in how they operate and process those titles. Just, you have to come with patience. If you're not a patient person, that may be something you want to consider
practicing. Practicing. This is, it's true. You can go stand in the longest line at the grocery store or something. Like, do something like that just to prepare for it. But You know, what's key though in this part is when you're working, let's say you're buying a property, working with the seller to put together that agreement, and then that gets registered in the lands department. So you're not when you're in this limbo period, you're not risking anything. You just register your agreement with the lands department, and you'll be set. And here's a real reality, and this is a real reality check for a lot of people, especially now, because in the States you can get 80% financing, typically between 3 to 5%, really pretty easily. Now, in this part of the world, when you're coming in as a foreigner, it's a lot more difficult to get financing, and you're not going to be getting it at these rates. Typically, a bank will offer 50%, 50% financing. Interest rates can be anywhere between 10 to 13%. And, so what I would recommend, there are a couple of things I would recommend is, one, you can always get a second mortgage or line of credit at your bank in the States or at your home. Your bank in the States is not going to finance your property in Belize. I can tell you that because they have no jurisdiction here. But if you can get that second mortgage, or if you get that line of credit, we have had a couple of our owners do that, or they finance with Key Bank. We as ECI Development get great rates with Key Bank, so it at least makes it more feasible. But if you're looking to put down 20% and get that 3% interest, it's not going to happen. So you just need to be realistic with what you're expecting. Also with local banks here, if you're coming in as a foreigner, a local bank is not going to loan to you. You have no real status here in the country, so there's nothing that they could really do to help you. All right. Yeah, fill us in this one.
So reality check, right? Quality, well-built property will cost you similar build prices as in North America. So if you come down here expecting to get North American quality at a third world country price, just know that that's probably not going to happen. You want to make sure that you're getting the things that you desire in your investment. You want the nice finishings. You want to make sure that the concrete was poured and placed correctly. And it was the correct sand was used in building your walls. So that's something to consider and be aware of when choosing to come to Belize or invest in a property in Belize.
It's true. And the cost of concrete is whatever concrete costs worldwide, but where you'll save a little bit is in the labor. But also bear in mind where you're at. We're in Belize, where they don't really produce a lot of things. So a lot of things are imported, and then we're on an island. So then you have that shipping cost. So of course it's going to be more expensive than if you were in some place like in the States. So do bear that in mind. Also understand that in the States, we don't realize it, but we live pretty luxuriously. For people who live in hot climates, typically you have air conditioning. I think everybody probably has hot water. That's just standard. Here in this part of the world, that's not standard. So if you want that budget home, you can certainly get that, but I can tell you it's not going to be built to the North American quality and standards. You're not going to have it built to hurricane standards. You probably won't have it too well insulated. In addition to that, you may not have that hot water we talked about. You turn on the faucet, the left faucet, and just wait, but nothing hot will come out.
Never gets hot.
This is just the reality of it. And, it's better that that going into this before you decide to move forward with things. But these are the sort of due diligence questions we want you to be asking as you are expanding your reach internationally. Now, here's an important one to know, and everyone on the line here is from the States, and I'm not an accountant, I'm not a CPA, so talk to your expert in this. But if you're from the US, rental income from your Belize property could be taxable, but it is most certainly reportable. So if you're earning an income from your property here in Belize as a US citizen, you better be reporting that in the States. And so depending on your tax bracket will depend on what the tax rate is, but just understand that you do need to be reporting that. Again, talk to your CPA if you want more info.
Yeah, so this is another really big one. You remember I talked about everybody's a real estate professional here. Well, everybody tends to also be a property management specialist. So make sure that if you're not planning to live full time in your investment, in your condo, in your home, that you have somebody that you trust and that you have confidence in to maintain that property and look after it. You need a professional management company here, right, to look over your interest in your investment.
It's true. And for those of you that have Airbnb rentals, please don't try to do Airbnb down here if you're not planning to live here. It's not going to work. And I can tell you that 100% of the people that I know that had Airbnb down here that were not living down here, it did not work for. So do yourself a favor and get a professional manager. And then last but not least is the closing costs can be expensive, but the ongoing fees are affordable. So typically closing costs in Belize is 8%. The buyer will sell that, or will pay that. The buyer will pay that 8%, but that's the title transfer fee. They call it a stamp tax here. And then there's typically a 2 to 3% admin fee or attorney fee for doing that closing for you. But just understand you pay a little bit more upfront, but in the end, your ongoing costs are really quite affordable. Property tax, for example, I have a 500 square foot, 1-bedroom condo, property tax about $300 US a year for that. So super affordable. We talked about the rental income tax being 1.75%, super minimal. And then when you don't have capital gains. So there's a huge advantage there for real estate here. And so that's what we just talked about, the low property tax, low rental income tax, and then the no capital gains. It's really significant for those who are truly invested in investment real estate. And then, like we said, there are a couple of cons. One of them is the fact that you have those high closing costs, 8% stamp tax that gets paid to the government, and then admin fees or attorney fees. Like Ali mentioned before, titling can take time, but exactly, be patient and know that, and at least get your mindset there. Mm-hmm. And then you need to do extra due diligence. And it's just the reality, regardless of if you're in Belize or anywhere in the world, even in the States, you need to do that. You need to know who the developer is and who the seller is. And we would just highly recommend, that's why that global property resource kit will be super helpful for you. This is the one we've been alluding to, but just email us if you'd like more information. Let us know that you heard about us on the presentation here with Karla, so that we can make sure to get this to you complimentary, and we'll email that over to you. All right, so now last but not least, the hottest spot in Belize. So I know that we had one person on here who mentioned their family has property in San Pedro, and Kikaga, your family is very smart for doing that, because the island where we're at, largest key in the country, it's the one that parallels the largest living reef. This island produces 70% of the Belize tourism revenue, which is significant, especially if you're looking at ownership from that investment eye. You want to be going where the people are going, right? And it makes sense. And when some place is producing 70% of the entire country's tourism revenue, it's probably a place you should be yourself. And the island that we're on is Ambergris Key. San Pedro is the primary town. It's really the only town. There are different neighborhoods, but San Pedro is the primary town. People use the name synonymously. They'll say San Pedro referring to the whole island, but just so now you know the intel there, Ambergris is the island and San Pedro is the town. And maybe you're on this presentation and you're not really sure what you're looking for, and that's okay. Maybe it is a rental property, maybe it's residential, maybe it's a mix of both. Maybe you're not sure, and that's fine. That's what we're here to help you do. But if you are looking at real estate from the investment perspective, something that you should carry with you as you move forward, not just here in Belize, is understanding what does the airlift look like, what do the tourism numbers look like, and what hotel brands are there. And you can usually see, pretty easily how many flights are flying to that country, who's flying there, what the increase has been over the years. And Belize, as we've seen, just keeps adding more flights to their roster. Tourism, as we saw, it continues to increase. Hotel brands have continued to come to the country, and we specifically have opportunities with the Marriott, and then also with the Best Western. Marriott is a beautiful 4.5-star beachfront luxury property. The Best Western is ideal for investors who are looking for that lower entry into the marketplace. They understand the value of a brand. Brands put heads on beds, and they produce rental revenue. And guessing if you're an investor, you're looking for rental revenue. So it truly makes sense to be investing in the brand, but it's the right place at the right time. So here's a picture from the 70s. And if for those of you who've been to the island before, the grass that you see over here, that is where the airstrip is currently located. And you can see the airstrip right over here. Something that I really respect about the country is that development has to be done sustainably. There's a huge eco-conscious community here within the country. And so whenever you're putting some new development or new infrastructure in, there are tons of environmental clearances that need to be done, tons of soil samples. I mean, it really, the country is making sure that development is done properly. You can see a charming community. 1980s, finally the airstrip was in. And now we use our little air taxis to get from place to place. And they're cute, about 15 passenger puddle jumpers. But this is the life we have here. It's a charming, colorful Caribbean Belize community.
And something that wasn't, it says charming, colorful Caribbean Belize community. And it truly is. Mm-hmm. People are genuinely happy. Yep. They love life. The culture just exudes from people, and throughout these festivals and things that are throughout the year, you can just see how proud they are of their culture. And it's just fun. You can't help but smile when talking to these people, because they just truly are just happy to have you here and share their story with you.
It's true. And I think what makes Belize so unique in this part of the world is the fact that it is so multicultural. You have the Latinos, you have the Mayans, you have the Caribbeans, you have the Mennonites. We have a big Mennonite population here as well. We have the Brits. We have the expats that come in from all across the globe. And so I think it's 9 cultures that the country is made up of, and everybody coexists. It's truly something charming. It's just not something I've seen in many other countries before, but it's neat to see these different cultures coming and really creating a cultural place and cultural identity that they go by as Belizean. And I think that for me has been really refreshing too.
Sure, and they respect each other's cultures and understand that we're all different in some way, but we can coexist and be happy together.
Exactly.
Oh, there's the golf carts that we talked about. Something that's so charming about the island, and I still sometimes I catch myself thinking about is driving into downtown San Pedro, which is 3 streets.
Yeah, right.
We drive into San Pedro, and you can wave at your friends, and you can see people and laugh and hey, what's up? And from your golf cart, and you grocery shop from your golf cart. So it is an interesting aspect of the island that's definitely fun. And I've heard other grown adults say how childish they felt getting on the golf cart. It was a fun experience for them.
It is. You just see a really beautiful place to be. And so, if you're looking to relocate and perhaps even just looking for an investment, what we've found is a lot of people right now are looking for what we know as tiny homes. And tiny homes range anywhere from about 3 to 400, 450 square feet, but they're ideal for people who are looking to have a flexible lifestyle. Maybe you do have the ability to work from anywhere. You want to spend a few months here, a few months there. Maybe you're looking to relocate to downsize your stuff. Americans tend to get stuff and more stuff and more stuff and more stuff to the point you have a storage unit and more stuff that you never end up going through. And so we've seen a lot of people who are just looking to refresh their life and are looking to just kind of throw all that stuff away. And you do find that here. It's a very simple sort of lifestyle. Maybe you're thinking about it from the eco-conscious perspective of reducing your carbon footprint. And maybe you're just looking at this from the investment perspective, is starting there at the first one is the incredible rental potential, because it is a single family home. You're able to accommodate the honeymooners and the couples who are coming here. And so for you, maybe you're looking at it from that lifestyle perspective, or perhaps a mix of both. And so something that Karla wanted us to chat with you about, because we do have so many projects just generally, but something that she thought would be of interest is the Belize tiny homes. And this is a project I am so unbelievably excited for. They're over the water bungalows, and they really capture this essence of being eco-friendly and sustainable. We have hybrid systems for the electricity. So we have solar. You are connected to the grid though, so if you wanted to use that AC, but you'll find that it is just a really charming spot. And where we're located is on the west side of the island. So if you look at the map here, this is San Pedro town. This is where Ali is calling the downtown. It's the 3 streets, Front Street, Middle Street, Back Street. This is really where you have the heart of it all. The restaurants, the nightlife, the souvenir shops, everything is really here within San Pedro. So if you just go to Back Street and then you take a 5-minute boat ride, you follow my cursor to the Tusk community, then you are there. And it's nice because it feels like you're on a private island, but yet you're on Ambergris Key and you're able to be in the heart of everything within just a couple of minutes. And there are a couple private islands around us, and you have to take longer boat rides to get there, and they're going for a much more daily rate than we're expecting these to be. These are pre-construction, just starting construction this month. It will be about 12-month build period, so ready in time for end of 2020, early 2021 rental market.
Or 2021.
Oh gosh, 2021. Wow, 2020. I'm still living in the past here. Thank you, Ellie, for that. And so with our test community, we were really going for the tiny features. We understand that not everybody needs that 2,500 square foot home. And so if you're able to build efficiently and effectively, you're able to get everything that you need within 400 square feet. Now, some of you may be like, oh my God, that's too small for me. And that's fine. Then the tiny homes wouldn't be right for you. Maybe from a rental perspective, I would consider it. But if you're looking for more space, and let us know, we have other projects that are larger, but maybe you're looking at it from that eco-friendly perspective. If you want to reduce your carbon footprint, you want to be self-sustainable, you want to be living responsibly, leaving the world a better place for the next generation. And maybe you're looking at it from the smart perspective. So being able to unlock your doors at the slide of a button on your phone or something along those lines is really convenient as well. So at this point, we had 20 homes. One is available at this point. It is a blue coral studio model. This is probably the most popular model that we have. You can see that it has a very efficient floor plan. In addition to that, what I think is one of the most unique features about these homes is the glass bottom floor. For just a portion of it, it's not the whole floor, but just a portion, so you can look down and see the marine life right there. So our sea turtle is sold out, and then the starfish is also sold out. But you can see something that we really wanted to do, because we understand they're tiny, but we're in the tropics. Mm-hmm. And when you're in the tropics and living in a place like Belize, most of the activity that happens is outdoors. And we spend most of our time outdoors. It was a beautiful, 79, 80 degrees weather today. And so, most people are outdoors and enjoying the climate. So being able to incorporate these third spaces into the community was critical. So we'll have the lounge area for people to sit and enjoy the beach, the kayaks, the rec area. In addition to that, there will be a future pool in the next phase, but having these outdoor spaces really is key in all of this. And so, as I mentioned, it's a studio model. It's available, going for $169,900 plus closing costs and furniture. If you would like to learn more about financing, just reach out to us. We can certainly go through that for you. If you'd like to get a copy of the Performa, just email us. You have the email address from before, info@ecidevelopment.com, and let us know that you heard about this from Karla. You go to our website and you really won't find much information about this. We haven't done a public launch. Everything that has been sold previous to this has been through referrals and through friends telling friends. So you really won't find much information online, but we'd be happy to share with you what we have if you just reach out. If you're looking for a branded hotel where you're branded ownership of a hotel condo, I would highly recommend the Best Western. If you are looking for that entry in, you can see that these studios start under $113,000 turnkey, includes closing cost furniture, and we do have financing there as well. We'd be happy to share that with you. And then in addition to that, we have the Marriott. This is an ideal project, an ideal property for somebody who's more used to luxury, looking to work with the #1 hotel chain in the world, and is really looking for either that rental perspective or a place that they can live full time. So if you'd like a copy of the Belize handbook, or we have a comparison chart as well that just talks about how ownership of real estate is different in Belize versus the US, reach out to us. info@ecidevelopment.com is the best way to do that. And you can see that email address there. So I'm just looking at the time here. It looks like we have a couple more minutes. So let's go through questions. We're seeing, you came up as PK, by the way, whoever has your family or whoever has property in Peacock or San Pedro. I'd love to hear from you, though. Love to hear more about what your family is up to. Yolanda, we saw you there. Or we have somebody in the Bay Area, Atlanta. Kenya, really great question. She said, what other languages are spoken in Belize? Just English. That was a question. So a lot of Spanish is spoken, and there's also Creole spoken. A lot of the locals tend to know all three if they have a Latino background. If they don't have a Latino background, typically it's just Spanish or English and Creole. English is what they learn in school, so it's what everybody here would know. It looks like Sherry is looking to relocate and started either B&B in the arts business. Awesome, Sherry. Well, you have to reach out to us. We'd love to connect with you on that. Anonymous attendee asked if this will be recorded. Yes, if you'd like a copy of the recording, just email us, info@ecidevelopment.com. And then Kenya, certainly we can send you the information. And then anonymous attendee said, what about Pure Land for Coop? Co-op, thank you. I'm like, a chicken coop? What are we talking about over here? Well, when I was on the mainland the other day, I was looking at some land out there, and I was like, oh, maybe I should get some chickens and lambs out here on the island. You know, what am I thinking?
To be fair, it's not uncommon to see some chickens roaming around out here. So, you know.
It's true. Well, we don't have any in our current inventory, but we can certainly introduce you to the right people and make sure you're looking at the right opportunities. So yeah, thank you. We got that. We got the cooperative there figured out. Thank you for that. Yeah, certainly reach out to us, Aletta, and we'll be able to share with you some resources about Pure Land. All right, I'm not seeing any more questions are you still on with us? I think you are there, Karla. Yes, you are. Is there anything you want us to talk about or anything you want to share or anything on your mind?
No, that was really great. I'm sorry, Mike's not here to tell the hot water.
He can come over, everyone. He's been sitting there in the corner cranking out some emails, I think.
For those of you who waited till the very end, we've saved the best for last.
Here, I'm gonna put this on you, Mike. Come on,
right.
a little more.
Come in a little more. All right. So, yeah, I wish we had the slide to show this, but it's to me, it's the best example of why a real estate professional is needed in an outbound transaction. And I really hope that everyone here will reach out to Karla. If you're looking for property overseas, let her help you. And we have this consumer resource guide, which I hope all of you will request, right? So easy. Request the consumer resource guide, info@ecidevelopment.com. Just simply say consumer resource guide or something like that in the subject line, right? There are 15 questions in it. Question number 4 is my absolute favorite. Do we have the picture here?
No, but I was just going back to the email address.
I got it. Okay. So question number 4, I was touring this beautiful 3-bedroom, 3.5 bath, beautiful condominium in Costa Rica. Views of the Pacific Ocean, spectacular, $379,000. And I walked into the master because there were 3 suites, right? But one of them was truly the master. It looked great. The lighting, the mirrors, the faucets, the sinks, everything was great. Hot water, looked great. I went in the 2 guest suites, right? They had their own bathrooms. And I know to look under the sink because the top of the sink's beautiful. I mean, again, lighting was perfect. The mirrors were great. The faucets were Delta or Moen, $150, $200 faucets. So really high quality, right? Everything was nice. But when you looked under the sink, there was a cold water pipe coming out of the wall with a Y splitter, right? So that both of the taps up top had water coming out of them, but it was cold water. And the shower had cold water too. So the question we always, we talk about with is, would you like to know that you are buying, 2 of your 3 bathrooms, cold water only before you write the check for $379,000? I would, right? Yeah, Karla, was that you going, Right. And so this is why having a real estate professional on your side makes so much sense. Karla knows all 15 questions. She has other resources. If you're looking for property in Belize, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Panama, France, it doesn't matter. Things are different overseas. And so you want somebody who understands that it is different and how to kind of dig your way in to know, in Latin America, you got to get under the sink and see if there's 2 pipes coming out, right? You have to do that. But there are things all over the world. So that's a great example of why we need the resources, right? We need the consumer resource guide. We need the resources to be able to do better due diligence. Again, the palm trees, the blue sky, the nightclub in Paris, whatever it is, all that stuff will sell itself. You don't need to worry about that. That's all the great stuff. It's the other stuff that we have to pay attention to if we really want to be happy long-term with the property that we decide to own. So yeah, thanks, Karla.
True.
Great question.
Mike.
And glad you brought it up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's true. So I see one more question here, and then we can come a little closer, Rally.
I'll slip out again. All right.
All right. So the one question seems from Aletta saying, "What about driving any supplies from California through Mexico into Belize?" Just be a little bit. We'll have to be a little bit more specific. We can certainly put you in touch with a shipping company. That would probably be the best thing to do. You can go through Mexico to Belize. I don't know if I would recommend it right now because the borders are closed, the land borders are closed, so you're not actually able to drive from Mexico to Belize. But we can certainly put you in touch with a shipping company, which I think would be very helpful in that case. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I'm not seeing anything else come through. Carla, thank you so much
Yes.
for putting this together. This was awesome. We obviously love
Alright.
Belize.
Yes. And so just if people are on the line, we are going to be doing this every other month. Our next one is what was the date again, Allie? March?
It was
I think it's the 18th.
It's
Yeah, so
18th.
it's the
March
third
18th.
Thursday. The third Thursday of
Right.
the month, every other month. So odd number
Every other month.
third Thursday.
Odd numbered month.
Same
Right.
time.
And so we're going to talk about, right. And next time we're going to talk about
Panama.
Panama. All right.
Panama.
Thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you, Allie. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Michael. And we'll see you, if not sooner, then in March.
Awesome. Well, thank you,
Absolutely.
everybody.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.